Frankie, I had a question about no longer talking to you. I mean, come on, I've got Face ID again. I'm still wearing an Apple Watch Series 7. Series 7? Am I supposed to be impressed by that? No, I think we've already moved on to the Apple Watch 10.
What?
Basically, you're too broke to talk to because you still use the first generation Apple Watch band connectivity. Ugh, it's so dated. You gotta slide those pins into place and everything. Ugh, it's gross. There's a first generation Apple Watch band connector. Ugh, yeah, that was so 20-teens. It was such a waste of time. Now we've moved on to the second generation Apple Watch bands, which have a magnetic connector, which is far superior, allowing the watch to be thinner. Thinner watch design? Like, because the watch was just too thick, right? Yeah, absolutely. That Apple Watch Ultra was atrocious. But just please tell your friends not to call it Apple Watch X, okay? It's pronounced 10. Oh, did somebody mention the letter X? Oh, God. Get out of here, Elon. All right. Let's rewind the clocks and begin. So yeah, the leaks and rumors have gone so boring, so dry as of lately, that it's that time of year we start talking about next year. Yeah, we've all talked about the iPhone 15, and most of the leaks and rumors are probably going to end up being kinda true. And in case any of you are wondering what's going on with the Apple Watch Series 9 this year, and will there be an Apple Watch Ultra 2? Yeah, probably. But, last year was a massive Apple Watch upgrade across the board. We got new SE, we got a Series 8, which wasn't really any different, but we got the whole Ultra, and of course that stole the show, which means if you have a major upgrade year, it's always going to be followed up by kind of an S year. A smaller incremental upgrade for the watch. And there's only so many things you can do with the Apple Watch in the first place, but Gurman is saying the Series 9 is going to be mostly identical to the Series 7 and the Series 8. It's essentially just going to be a chip upgrade, mostly focused on better performance, which I am not that excited for because I think, like all of us, what we're more interested in is better efficiency. Like, the performance of the watch could stay the same, and I don't think anyone would care or notice, but if you could get the energy consumption down, that would translate into better battery life. And since smartwatches have substantially worse battery life than basically any regular watch, which sometimes can last years on a single charge, that's what more of us are interested in, right? Like week-long, 2-week-long, maybe month-long battery life in the future. And even with all of the horses and king's men, Tim Cook's kingdom couldn't find a way to get the Apple Watch battery much longer than 4 or 5 days with low power mode on the Ultra. So Series 9, not that big a deal. Apple Watch Ultra, probably slightly better chip. Who knows? Maybe they'll throw in 5G or something like that this year. Maybe some new color options, of course, and some new watch bands to brag about. But Gurman's latest report from Bloomberg is saying that the big update, the more exciting refresh, is coming next year, or potentially the year after that. But it's in the works because Apple wants to do something special and celebrate for the 10-year anniversary, similar to what Apple did with the iPhone 10 back in 2017. That was just about 10 years since the original iPhone had launched, kind of. And while a lot of people say that's why Apple called it the iPhone 10, I still don't recall Tim or Phil or Johnny or anybody at Apple explicitly saying, we called it the 10 because it's the 10th anniversary of the iPhone. I never really heard that, but a lot of the community just kind of assumed that, so I think a lot of people are assuming here that Apple wants to do something big for the 10th anniversary. Maybe that means calling it Series X or, Series 10, not to be confused with the Xbox, not to be confused with the new social media platform that was once brilliantly called Twitter that is no longer referred to as Twitter. Yeah, nothing to do with any of that, but his report is saying that they want to make some more drastic updates to the watch, similar to how the iPhone 10 was a pretty drastic change in design and direction from the iPhone 7 that came out before it. Only difference here is we should still be getting a Series 9. Apple didn't want to have an iPhone 9, just like how Microsoft didn't want to have a Windows 9 for whatever reason, but I think it's because 7, 8, 9. Okay, sorry. That joke shouldn't have made it in the video. But the most scary part of this redesign is that they allegedly are looking for ways to radically change the way the Apple Watch looks, and I'm sure a lot of you are just thinking, oh, that means make it round. No, they want to take it in a different way. Essentially, they think that the current band connector design is occupying too much precious space inside the watch, and if they could switch to some kind of magnetic connector that maybe is a bit more externally mounted instead of internally mounted, maybe that will allow them to improve the battery life or the health sensor suite in the watch and basically manufacture it at a more efficient scale and that kind of thing. It appears that trying to shrink down on the overall thickness is a little bit of a priority. I'm not sure why, in my personal opinion. I feel like everybody has fallen in love with the Ultra, which is like the thickest Apple Watch ever, and everybody's kind of like, yeah, I want a big fat watch with a big fat battery life. So I could definitely see this ticking off a lot of people with the Series 10 and kind of making everyone go, oh no, all my old watch band collections are worthless now. I better start buying up whole new watch band collections with these new magnetic connectors that are not backwards compatible. But honestly, the more I thought about this report, it dropped a few days ago, I've had some time to think about it, the more I realized it actually makes a lot of sense for the standard regular, Apple Watch, not the SE or not the Ultra, to get a little bit more crazy with the redesigns and try to do something different with the watch band connectors and try to make the whole device thinner. And of course, on top of that, Apple's been working on adding micro LED to the Apple Watch for years, which essentially enables all of the basic stuff you'd want in a display upgrade. Better pixel density, lower power consumption, brighter, better colors, better contrast, all that stuff. It would launch on the Apple Watch first, and then probably a few years down the road, they'd work its way into iPhones and whatever. But the regular Apple Watch is kind of the one that doesn't really know what to do with itself. The SE is honestly already amazing. That's what a lot of people are buying these days. It covers the basics, it's a lot more affordable, and it's a great watch. Sure, the bezels could be a tiny bit thinner, but there's probably a decent chance in the not too distant future we'll get an SE3, and it might have the exact same display style as the Series 7. And then the Apple Watch Ultra is great for people who have a little bit more money to spend on their watch. It's bigger, it's more durable, it's got that action button, so it kind of embraces the outdoor enthusiast that would kind of physically want a bigger watch. They like having those buttons when they're scuba diving or mountain climbing through the snow and they got gloves on and everything. So the Ultra has kind of found its market, and the SE is kind of covering everybody else, which leaves the main primary Apple Watch in the middle kind of a little bit confused. It's like, I guess I can give you more health sensors, or I can look a little bit prettier than the SE. But honestly, the aesthetics between the SE and the Series 7 are pretty darn close to the vast majority of people, so Apple's probably looking for a way to make the Apple Watch a bit more noticeable in this upgrade cycle where everybody can tell, okay, yeah, they really did change the design language and change the aesthetics of it to make all other Apple Watches look old-fashioned and dated. So while it is frustrating that a lot of our old watch bands probably won't be compatible anymore, I do think that the Apple Watch team is kind of stuck in this weird position of like, well, what do we do now? The Apple Watch is kind of matured. They kind of got the battery life as good as they could get it. They got the bezels as thin as they could. And at this point, they're like, well, what else can we do? And maybe they're looking at that watch band connectivity and saying, hey, that's kind of eating into our design language that we might want to go forward with in the future. So let's drop the old-fashioned watch band connection and say that, okay, the magnetic one will last you another 10 years, but maybe they keep the old-fashioned band connectors on the Ultra and the SE for a little bit longer, and they don't refresh the entire lineup with the new magnetic connections. Or maybe they should do them all at the same time. What do you guys think? I think that it's become very obvious, especially with watchOS 10, that there's a lot of very talented and a lot of very capable software and hardware engineers working on the Apple Watch, but they kind of don't know what to do with it. And there's sort of this pressure from Apple's executive team and the board and shareholders to say, okay, you gotta be challenging yourself. You gotta have something new to come out every year. And they're kind of like, I don't know, maybe make it thinner, maybe change the watch band thing. They're kind of trying to fix something that's not broken, but it's Apple. It's a brand. It's a company. They don't really have the choice to just step away from the product and say, okay, we're all done with it. I guess we'll just do chip upgrades from here on out and the design can just stay the same every year. No, they can't get away with that. Like, the chip development is probably a whole separate team. So the design team for the hardware is kind of like, I guess we have no choice but to drastically change the design and make it not backwards compatible anymore, because what else can we freaking do with the whole rounded squircle design scheme that they've been rocking for almost 10 years now? How do you guys feel, though, about the idea of redesigning it just for the sake of, well, we gotta try something. We gotta have something new to show people. Feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Alp Sheep here, and my shirt has been inside out during this entire video.